brief presentation you guys can get.
Right, in the back, right?
Yeah, in the back.
I was just looking at the list of people adjacent to the property.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if they have any concerns.
Well, yeah, you have to give the public notice anyway.
Good evening. I'd like to bring this regular meeting of the Stratford Inland Wetlands Commission for May 18th to order. Has everybody had an opportunity to look at the minutes? I'd like a motion to approve the minutes. So made. Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are approved. What we're going to do is skip to item number 4. Inland Wetland Application 2016-4, Town of Stratford, construction of new high school, King Street, drainage discharge into a water course. Portion of proposed activity is within the upland review area. The applicants here. What I'd like you to do, gentlemen, is for the commission, as I mentioned to you earlier, a brief overview of the project.
A little difficult to see, I'm sure, but for the record, my name is George Perham, and I'm a principal at Antonazzi Associates. We're architects at 271 Fairfield Avenue in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and architects for the new Stratford High School project. Just a quick overview for you. The present high school is all the way to my right. Where we just pointed to is North Parade. The existing high school resides basically on this large piece of property. This is King Street, and this is presently where the ball fields are. They're fields for the education. Don't shoot me, I'm just trying to be the messenger. So what's going to happen is on the west side of King Street, we're proposing to construct a new building that's going to be a 3-story academic building in administration. Administration will be on the first floor, and academic will be on the second and third floor. That construction period takes approximately 18 months, and while that's being constructed, nothing happens to the existing school. It all basically stays the way it is today, as we all know it. While we're doing that, we're also going to be improving the site on the west side of King Street. We have parking. This is the main entrance to the building for the parental drop-off, and in the rear, there's a bus drop-off. We have parking immediately in front of the school, and then up at the most westerly part of the site, if you're familiar with it, is where the tennis courts are. That'll also be some more parking. After that happens, then we basically, for all intents and purposes, evacuate the school, and then we demolish the existing front building and portion, the auditorium and other portions of the building, up to a large part that is going to remain where the existing gymnasium is today, and there's an auto shop and a wood shop. So we're calling that phase 2, and we're building a brand new auditorium, gymnasium, and all the other arts are sort of in that section of the building, and that'll be the new front of the building as we see it in the future. And then the last phase is what we're calling phase 3, is the renovation, turning the existing gym into an auxiliary gym, enhancing the automotive, enhancing the wood, and then up above on the second floor will be a media center and the rest of the arts. It's fine arts and so on and so forth. And then we get done on this side, all this frontal part will be parking as well, with an entrance off of North Parade that comes all the way through to King Street. And then again, this entrance over here that gets back into the main part of the building. And so that's sort of the gist of the entire project. Any questions?
Gentlemen, any questions?
Well, could I ask him to touch upon the impacts to the stream and the wetlands while you're before this commission?
Yeah, I have my civil engineer here, and he'll make that presentation. I'm the architect. I just want to give you an overview of the architecture, but we'll answer that question.
No. That's the old football field, right?
That's correct.
You're going to put a new one back in?
No, what we're doing is, good question though, over in this lower part of the corner of the site, is going to be the field for the gymnasium. So there'll still be outdoor activities, but not a football field, no.
All right. And you're not taking the street, right? You're just building on the other side of the street.
That's correct. King Street remains, and I failed to say, at the second floor, we're building a bridge over King Street. So that connects the academic building over to what we call the commons, or the more civic part of the building.
Just to remind you, gentlemen, the protocol for the new application, this application is that we just accept it as complete tonight. What I have discussed with John, normally in almost every case where we've had a municipal project, we consider it a significant activity and call for a public hearing. This is kind of twofold. The one thing is that there is going to be some impact, but the mere fact that it's a municipal activity gives the public an opportunity to speak and to hear what a public project is happening before a public commission. And as I mentioned to them, so it doesn't look like there's any clouds involved in any of this. The public gets an opportunity to see what you're judging or hear what you're judging. So what we're going to do is I will be asking the administrator if he found this application complete, at which point I will ask the commission to call for a public hearing, which will be scheduled at the next regular meeting, which is June 15th.
Mm-hmm.
John will tell you what's involved in that. Basically, the fact that this is the majority of the impact is from runoff and from stormwater and the stream. I'd like you, when you do your presentation, I would be particularly interested in how you're going to handle runoff during storm events, how you're going to handle the water as it's coming through, if there's necessity for dewatering. I'm sure I haven't really had too much of an opportunity to look at your packet. You've had soil scientists in making sure that the water table is of sufficient height to accommodate for your galleys and all
That's
that.
correct. That's correct.
And I think that's going to be the focus.
We're ready to do that tonight, if you'd like to hear that part of the presentation.
Actually, I would prefer not to. I would like to have the public hear it. If you could make that presentation at the next meeting, it'll give the commission also an opportunity to look over your packet as well. So that I would prefer to have that.
I just thought is while they're looking over the packet, if we did the presentation tonight, it might make things clearer other than looking at it and having questions. I mean, we'll do whatever you want us to do, but we came prepared to do that presentation.
Well, is the commission clear as far as the activities that are involved with this application?
Absolutely.
Is it fairly clear to everyone?
I'm clear on it.
So if the commission is fairly clear at the activities that are proposed, then I think that would be enough for tonight.
Okay, I only mentioned because you asked me a specific question that we had the answer for. It's just not me.
We'll be happy to hear it later.
Okay, understood.
I guess, so, John, this application you found this application to be complete.
The application's complete.
Gentlemen, we have found the application complete. I'd like a motion to accept the application.
Do we have enough to accept it?
We have a completed
I
application,
have a
yes.
complete application. I'm going to need a motion from one of you to accept it as a complete application. a second. We will vote on that, at which point we will schedule the public hearing.
Okay, I accept it.
Okay, motion to accept it, a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we will schedule June 15th,
Same time, same place.
same time, same place.
You got it. Thank you very much.
And you'll be getting correspondence from us according to, we're going to have.
Well, I'll send you out a notice of the public hearing and any additional comments which may come along.
Okay.
But I think our primary interest at this point is groundwater monitoring, the height of the groundwater,
Yep.
whether the systems are going to work properly
Yep.
under, wet years and dry years.
Yeah.
Monitoring, watching the subs, make sure they don't mess up.
Yeah, well, we have
things.
the best of the best engineers, so trust me, we'll be fine. So, but you'll hear that at the public hearing.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you next month. Did you send out the, it has to be in the paper, right?
Well, now I'll put the legal notice in the newspaper.
They don't.
I just did.
They don't do that, we do. That I will check on. I'm not absolutely sure.
If they do, make sure they know.
Oh, yeah.
Send in.
I'll make sure. I don't know if they do. I'll double check the regulations.
Okay. Moving on. Moving on.
Four votes do it.
To item number 5, staff report, enforcement matters.
Okay, we have two matters under enforcement tonight. One was 110 Morning Dew Lane. Prior to myself becoming the wetland official, there was a complaint at 110 Morning Dew Lane. There was an individual that was supposedly cutting trees and clearing a bank which goes down to, what's that brook? Pumpkin Brook. I went out there, I met with the individual. He didn't take down any large trees. What he was doing was he was raking down this embankment, clearing a small amount of undergrowth, underbrush, and I informed him not to do it. It would require a permit from the commission. At that point, it just amounted to raking leaves, clearing the embankment. I told him to stabilize the hillside with some hay, put some hay bales at the toe of the slope. There was really very minimal, no damage done per se. And he stopped, and he'll appear before the commission if he wants to do anything in the future. So there's really no impact at that situation. The second one on the agenda is 350 Whippoorwill Lane. We got a call that an individual is clearing a piece of property up on Whippoorwill, which backs up again to Pumpkin Brook, the stream and water course that goes down through there. This individual cleared a large portion of the site, major trees, all the understory. It came within feet of the wetland, and we have a 250-foot upland review in that area. I sent out a notice to the property owner to cease and to stabilize the property. They put in a proper silt fence. The owner has not called me as of this date, but work has ceased on the property. There are some neighbors out in the audience. I don't know if the commission wants to hear them briefly on any comments they may have.
Would any of you like to address the commission? If you'll come up and give us your name and address.
Sure. Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Ed Schofield. Live at 140 Butternut Lane, and with me is my wife Judy. Along with Mike and Paula Malika, they live at 160. 160. They, along with us, and Merritt Zahner, are the abutting owners. We're on Butternut Lane, and we back up to this property on Whippoorwill. And thank you for hearing us. I'll be as brief as I can. First of all, thanks to John, who acted very quickly when this came up. We learned of this couple weeks ago, it was the week of the primary election. I remember it pretty vividly when we learned that there was some clearing in the yard behind. We had always been under the impression, all the neighbors, that the land behind would not be built on. We've later learned in talking to John and others that, in fact, apart from the wetlands issue, it appears that there was never any proper subdivision, so it was really not a building lot, but these folks bought it and started clearing it. And I met with the owner, or the owner's husband, I guess, on that election day in the afternoon. And I told him that I had understood that there were some issues about that property, whether it was a buildable lot and so forth. He assured me that he had already talked to folks at the town, and he was good to go, and he showed me a small area where he was planning on building a 1,600 square foot home. The very next day, my wife was working from home and called and told me that there was work going on all the way down the hill toward the pond that's part of the Pumpkin Ground Brook watershed. And I called John the very next day. He came out that morning and immediately saw the kind of carnage. If you saw this property, it's really quite striking. I showed John a photograph this morning that shows that basically, John, tell me if I'm wrong, it seems like they basically cleared, it's hard to count, but there are maybe 50 or 60 huge oak or beech trees that have been cut down, 60, 70-foot trees. And it's gone from just a forest, if you look at a former aerial photograph, to basically it looks like a wasteland or a battlefield. And obviously all of that, if you did a 250-foot radius from the margin of the wetlands, all of that would be in the upland review zone. So this is, to my way of thinking, a situation where somebody has come in and done something. The man identifies himself as a landscape contractor, so clearly he knows what wetlands are, yet he's come in without asking any permission, having told us that he had permission from the town when no one at the town has ever spoken to this individual. As far as I know, I talked to John, I talked to
No,
Mr.
they've never contacted the town.
Talked to the building department. So it seems to me a very egregious violation of our state laws. I've spoken to the DEP myself, and when John was away on vacation, it looked like they might be starting up again. So I reached out to the DEP because I know you folks have a little bit of a void in the system. The lady who was going to be involved was on maternity leave, so we talked to Mo over in Public Works, and we're trying to make sure we were ready to go in case the cease and desist was being flouted. It turned out that they were just removing some of those huge logs that we have photographs of too that day. So basically, on behalf of the neighbors, ourselves, the Schofields, the Zonners, and of course the Malikas who are here with me, along with, by the way, many other neighbors in the neighborhood, including folks down, I guess that would be downstream when you go down Pumpkin Ground, you get into that area of Rosebrook, who've all expressed concern. So when the time comes, if there's going to be an opportunity for further consideration of this, and the time comes, we're going to have ample public interest that we would probably get our signatures and want to have a public hearing if it gets to the stage with these folks who are seeking to do any development or anything like on that land. We just think it's an outrage, not only because we're the neighbors and it disturbs the nature of our quiet enjoyment of our land, but because it seems to us that it's just a really terrible intrusion on the environment. Paula told the story, explained to me that one of the trees right into the corner of the lot was the home to, just to give one example, there are many, of a pair of nesting hawks. And she went out and confronted the folks doing the work and said, why are you clearing every single tree? Why don't you leave the perimeter, as you normally would if you're making room for a home? And the man said, it's my boss's land, he can do whatever he wants. So that's the kind of attitude that we've seen, and we're very concerned, not only as neighbors, but as Stratford residents, that this kind of activity, in our view, shouldn't be allowed. So thank you very, very much for taking the time. I know how busy you folks are. And thanks also to John for his hard work on this project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to address? Okay. What I'd like to do is have a motion from the commission accepting the staff report and recognizing that this was a valid recognition of a violation and authorizing the wetlands officer to take any further action as necessitated. Can I have that motion?
I want to know what did you find when you went there, John?
What I found there was, first off, like Mr. Schofield indicated, it's not an approved building lot. They went in there and they cleared all the trees.
How big is it?
How big are the trees?
No, how big is the property? A lot.
Ooh, 1 point what? 1.1 acre.
Is it landlocked,
it's a-
or is it on the cul-de-sac?
There's a
Is that
right of,
that?
there's a right-of-way which goes up to this parcel.
Right.
Now, it's questionable whether this parcel even has access to this right-of-way, although they use the right-of-way. So it's been a questionable parcel for a long period of time. A person put it on the market, sold it to an individual that maybe believed they had a building lot. They
Shouldn't that
don't
be
have a
zoned
building.
first to make sure it's even
They should have.
real
There's
property?
no one
Why-
called.
Why are we, how could we get involved if it's not even a lot?
Well, we could get involved because they cut down the trees in upland review area right next to a wetland
This is an
area.
activity that requires
I
a
understand
permit.
that, but
whether it's
I'm thinking
approved
of
lot-
another situation, the same thing happened, they just, it was okay.
Well, it's not okay, even on a approved lot or not approved
Cut
lot.
all the trees.
You're not supposed to.
I know, well, I know that.
This is
You're right. They illegally cut down these trees
Correct.
within the upland review area, and they blatantly did it without,
And I understand.
it appears that,
if they come in for a permit.
yeah. If they
And
came
they
in for a
even
permit.
can't do it if they have a permit, they ain't supposed to be cutting in wetlands.
And there really was no reason to cut these trees either.
There's never a reason.
It goes up over a ridge and then down, it looks like a nice vernal pool almost down in there. There was no reason to take those trees down. With the removal of these trees, we could have invasives coming in
Would it be
there.
helpful if I handed up some photographs?
Sure, those
Those
photographs
I wanna
really
look at
show
it.
it nicely.
I want to see if that's where I walked and what I would.
This is this is from near the area of
Let me see that. Let me see that.
near the area of the pond, the back, the pond is at
Yeah.
my back, I'm kind of looking up the hill. And you'll see the area that's on the right, this treat area.
So this is the wetlands silt fence they
All
put
that's,
up?
all- everything you see there, I believe is wetlands. And this
That
is
whole area is the upland review area
That's an
too.
aerial photograph from it's basically
Yeah,
a
but that
forest.
silt fence ain't the wetlands.
He's saying it's wetland.
It might be up here too.
Well, you were in the boundaries.
I know. I understand that totally.
You want me to show you on that picture with the wetlands are?
I want to know because I'm.
They still cut it illegal today.
Sure, the wetlands are right here.
That's what I figured, what's up here?
And there's no reason, they were gonna develop on the other side of this hill, and they came all the way down this hill and cut all the trees. There's,
I show there's the map, John, of the parcel.
okay, well, what happened was, this whole area is within the review.
I'm trying to understand what I'm looking at now because of what the disturbance was.
This is the regulated area.
Let me show you. This is Whippoorwill Lane down here, and there's a right-of-way that goes up to the parcel.
And where's the wetland is?
This wetland is
Is it
all
down this
over
way?
here.
Yeah.
Here's the wetland
Yeah,
wall
there's the
here,
one right there.
which ties down into Pumpkin Brook.
Back in here anyway.
This is the impact. They cut down.
Right here. So you're saying they went all the way to the corner?
No, what I'm saying is this whole area, 250 feet away from this edge of wetland, is within jurisdiction of this commission. And if they want to cut down any trees within 250 feet, it's in the regulations, pumpkin.
The other guy said it was 100.
Well, in certain, you have to look in the regulations. The upland review areas describe certain areas, in certain brooks, certain ponds, certain bogs. And this one is 250 feet. So essentially, is at the top of that hill.
Okay, so they're down here, and the wetland is over here. That's
Exactly.
the one I walked, right, I know it.
Exactly.
Before.
So it's a blatant violation of the regulation.
When did he do all this?
About 2 weeks
I
ago?
was gonna say, it wasn't done.
2-3 weeks
a month
ago.
or so ago.
All right.
What it does is gives John, the applicant, or the individual who has caused the violation, has an opportunity to come in before this commission and explain their actions as
Well,
well. But we have to go through the official.
here's the steps that I would like to see the violator do. I would like to send the person, the owner of the property,
To come in
a
and,
notice to hire a soil scientist to map the wetlands and to come up with a restoration plan for that 250-foot upland review area. I mean, I think that should be required of the owner.
and that's what we're asking for?
And
That's what I will ask
that's what
the
we're-
onder for.
Yes, it has
And
to be through an
then,
action of your
once,
commission.
once they restore that area, do it properly, first they would have to go before zoning and get that lot, or the planning commission, get that lot approved.
If it's not even a designated or not a lot.
Exactly.
Be in there at all.
Exactly. I mean, a person could,
What my point is, if somebody gave them a permission to build a lot, it's a different story.
nobody gave him, well, it wouldn't be a different story as far as this commission's concerned,
So-
but nobody has given them permission to go ahead and do any work on that property.
Right, but I mean, if it's a non-conforming lot, it's a different story.
It's not.
It is
It's not a non-conforming lot.
So it is a lot.
It's not a lot, period, whether it be a non-conforming lot or a conforming lot. It's no lot.
So then there would be no activity at all.
Exactly.
Okay, I just want to clarify that. Okay, so we want a motion to have him come in and do a review, or a soil scientist or whatever?
Recognize it as a valid recognition of
A valid violation.
Well, it's a valid violation. I make a motion to have him come in here and give us what he's going to do to fix it.
Yes.
you have a second?
Not a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carried.
Okay.
There were no administrative permits this week,
No administrative
this
permits,
month.
no.
Commissioners Forum, anybody like to say anything? We will now go to number 8. Who would like to handle number 8 on the agenda? You're going to have to look here. Adjournment.
I'll adjourn, even though I can't see it.
A motion to adjourn?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Take over. John.
My name. Have you talked to Tina?
I saw she was.
You're cute.